today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to do an unboxing and a not so quick look on a pedal that the Beard's going to tell you about.
Yeah, so today we're looking at the Wampler Terraform. When we started doing the Leslie series, we reached out to Brian Wampler, and he was kind enough to help us out in getting this pedal. We still purchased it, but he helped us out a little bit, and we appreciate that, so shout out to him. But today we're not looking, surprisingly, we're not looking at the Leslie sound. In fact, we're going to totally miss the whole rotary sound today. But shortly after this video comes out, maybe even on a non-scheduled day, we'll see that video, the Leslie sound video, come out. We'll do one just on that sound. Yep. All right. So, a lot to do here. There's, I think, 11 sounds. Is that what we figured out? Yep. And we're not going to go through all of them. And we're not really going to turn too many knobs today, because we want to look at some of the features that we feel like we've watched some other reviews and some things that I don't want to say that people have missed, right? But, you know, they focus more on the sounds it can make and what turning the knobs do and stuff like that. So we thought we would focus on some of the things that, you know, maybe they didn't cover. So to start out, what does this pedal sound like in stereo? And it's like a drug. It was like an addiction. Once we put it in the stereo, I was like, oh my goodness. All right, so we have it running into the PV Classic 30 in the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. Mm-hmm. And so the first sound was you. Yeah, the first sound, I was playing my PRS single cut off frame here and set up the chorus. And it had a little ode to Rush because Neil Peart passed away this week, depending on when this video comes out. So I did my best imitation of the intro to a Rush song. And it sounds like this. So the next thing that we looked at, the next setting we did was the phaser. And just as point of fact, we did kind of look at the owner's manual and pull some of the recommended... Sort of the starting reference point, right. And then slight tweaks. Slight tinks. So... tinks. It's good. Slight tweaks on the owner's manual. So the next one we did was the phaser setting. And I grabbed a Strat because a Strat with a phase pedal can get kind of funky, and that sounds a little like this. So next, because it has a tremolo, and tremolos are to me what rotary pedals are to him, I took a stab at the trem, and it sounds like this. So now anything with an envelope filter on is, you know, that comes back to me. I love envelope filters. So we played around with that a little bit, and that ended up sounding a little bit like this.
next up is the flanger, and I was trying to find something that I could play that you kind of caught that swirl and that going, and so hopefully I did. We're sitting behind the amps, but I think we got a pretty good representation of what flanger does, and here it is.
So last but not least, just in the stereo section, we turned it to the Dimensions sound and got a real nice kind of fat Dimensions sound, chorusy sound out of it, and that sounds like... So those are what it sounds like in stereo for the settings that we selected to do that. Now we're switching back over here to the pedal cam. We have the Terraform set up in its pre and post settings, and we're going to marry it with the Analog Man King of Tone to show you what a couple of those settings sound like in those two positions. And Beard is going to break that down. All right, so like Pat said, we have it set up in the pre-post mode. The King of Tone is basically an effects loop on the Wampler pedal, which is in mono. But what's really, really exciting about this is in the pre and post mode, you get to select or determine whether your overdrive pedal comes before the effect or after the effect. That makes sense. Yeah. So you don't have to keep moving it or something like that.
I even understand that. Pre before, post after.
So the factory settings, if you're using the Univibe, the phaser, the flanger, the envelope filter, or the auto wah, those all would be pre overdrive. If you're using Dimensions, chorus, tremolo, harmonic tremolo, or auto swell or rotary, they would all be post overdrive. So you have the ability then too to like kind of set globally that you want everything pre or globally that you want everything post. Or you also have the ability to go in and set individually where they are. So you have 8 presets, and if you are not familiar with that, if I click this preset button, we're on the 3rd preset now, so that would take me to the 4th, 5th, which you see, 6th, 7th,
and you can see these
8th.
Corresponding, changing it to the effect listed there.
Right, and then we're back to 1. So in 1 and 2, we have set up 2 Univibe sounds. Actually, the same Univibe sound in 1 and 2. So if I click engage, we get a green light. That means it is pre. So even the pedal tells you when you click it on, you're pre-overdrive. If I go to setting 2, the blue light tells us that we're post. So we have the same Univibe setting, and we've put it in pre and post, just to show you what the advantage of this is. So if we were to play a little bit.
You want that right away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were to play a little bit with the King of Tone on. Pre. Univibe pre King of Tone. Now we go to setting 2, King of Tone post. No. King of Tone, then Univibe. Jeez. So, a lot of people like Univibe before the overdrive. And I think I do too. Did you notice in that there's a big difference between
There is
the
a
two?
huge difference, for sure, when you run it before or after. When you run it before, it's a little more subtle, a little more balanced. You run it after that, all that overdrive is pushing that effect really hard.
And I thought you heard the throb of the Univibe more pre. So, now, we get into this. We buy pedals that have too many features. We don't do them because the features, like, who wants to sit down and figure out sometimes all the programming and stuff that takes place? So in 3 and 4 right now, we have set up a dimension sound just like we used on the stereo section.
Right.
So if I hit right now... So that's dimensions. That's King of Tone into the dimensions. So if we go to 4, we have pretty similar dimensions, hopefully the same dimension sound set up. Also, right now, it would be King of Tone into dimensions. Let's flip it and put dimensions before. So the way you would do that is you would hold down the button, preset button. It starts to blink, so we're in programming mode. Pick the preset you want. So we want 4. We're just going to leave it there. If I hit the tap tempo button, nothing happened. Oh, there we go. If I hit the bypass button, it turns green, telling us that it's now pre. And so then if I hit and hold this one, we've now set up the preset so dimensions is before the King of Tone. So real quick, right?
Yep.
I'll do it one time and then you hit it to 4. So it makes a difference. Yeah, a big difference. And what's really cool is that you have the opportunity now to kind of play with that. Like, you don't have to, like, take your pedal board apart and move things around. That you could get this in, put your drive section, and I would imagine you can do even more than one drive pedal. So if you're somebody that stacks overdrive pedals, you could put your whole stack there and then
surround it.
Right, and then be able to run this however you want using the presets. So, and then of course the pedal has MIDI control on it and stuff like that. I think it has MIDI through even. Has an expression jack for an expression pedal that you can set your expression pedal for heel toe wherever you want it on any of the parameters, and
which we'll probably use that with the Leslie, perhaps, that we're going to do with this after this.
Right, so there's just this whole kind of host of stuff.
Yeah.
But what I really kind of like the most about it is programming it is a breeze.
Yeah.
find the modulation you want, program it, you have them in. You can move through the presets. You don't have to hit the
Right.
You don't have to hit the preset button. If you're playing live, you would just click and hold the tap tempo button. And then it turns green, so now we can change presets. So I'm flipping through my presets. And then the next preset's the one I want to keep and go back to tap tempo, so I'd press this and hold it. And now we're back at tap tempo on the preset we want. But, you know, a lot of times if you have presets, you're going to have the tempos kind of set up anyway, probably. Mm-hmm. So you might just leave it in the preset select mode. So I think that covers what we wanted to cover, right?
Yeah, it was a lot, but that's a very robust pedal.
So with that, I think there is the Leslie sound. We're going to focus on the rotary speaker sound and what that does. So that should be coming out maybe even within 24 hours of this coming out. So watch out for that. Please subscribe. We've been blown away by what's happening with the subscriber count lately, and we really do appreciate that. Stop by Facebook, stop by Instagram. You know, follow us there. We're putting content up there as well. But we do really appreciate everybody that's tuning in and watching the show. And I think with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.